Yo guys, how's everyone doing? This is your guy Assassin Dave, and welcome to the part 2 of the complete crowd control list in Mobile Legends.
Just for the thrill of it, nothing counterfeit with you, just the thrill of it. Just for the thrill of it, nothing counterfeit.
Alright ladies and gentlemen, your guy Dave here. Gotta admit, the last video we actually omitted some details, some crowd controls. A lot of active viewers have since then pointed out and shared with me my mistakes. Thank you all so much for helping. Today's list, we're gonna list out all the crowd controls. The last video, my main intention was to list out the order of crowd controls and to share with you guys where Sprint and Purify, the battle spells, lies in the order of crowd controls. And today, we're gonna complete the entire list of every single crowd control skills and how to counter them properly. Before we get started guys, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn that bell on to all notification bells. I do not have a team. I'm making the video all by myself. If you have a great suggestion, leave the comment down below and let us know. Most importantly, share this video with your friends if they want to learn the crowd control, if they want to learn some mechanics in Mobile Legends. So with that, the first crowd control we're talking about is called anti-blink, or someone may call it grounded. Basically, we're referring to Minthathar's ultimate, we're referring to Khufra's skill 2. When those skills are actively inflicted onto you, you are not allowed to use any dash skills. And interestingly, this actually includes Flicker. Basically, you cannot use Flicker when Khufra's on top of you, Minthathar's ultimate is effective. However, you can use teleportation skills like Claude's skill 2 or Harley's skill 2. All those skills are allowed, but dash skills are not allowed to go through anti-blink or grounded, whatever you like to call them in Mobile Legends. While being grounded, you still can auto attack, you still can use any other skills besides dash. That means this is gonna be rated below root, okay? This is gonna be one of those crowd controls that's really annoying and really crucial for countering a lot of heroes, including Harith, including Lancelot. But overall, anti-blink or grounded is a crowd control that is weaker than root, since most heroes are not really affected by it. Right after that, we have a crowd control that falls between root and stun. It's called silence and disarm. Those two crowd controls are completely different, but they fall in the same category. Let's start with silence. This includes examples like Natala's passive or Helker's skill 1. While the silence crowd control are effective, you are not allowed to cast any skills unless you purify. Now do remember, you are still allowed to use auto attack while silence is effective. So if somebody silences you, if Helker silences you, and he doesn't have petrify, make sure you auto attack away if you know you can out damage them with your auto attacks. Now let's talk about disarm. Disarm is a crowd control. While effective, you are not allowed to use auto attack, but you can use skills. The most typical example for disarm in Mobile Legends is Marsha's skill 2. If Marsha lands a skill 2 on a character, that character will be disarmed and they won't be able to auto attack. With that being said, Marsha counters most of the fighters who require auto attack, for example Alucard, for example Freya. All those heroes require a lot of auto attacks, and skills are just there to assist them to do more damage with the auto attack. But with Marsha to disarm you, you won't even be allowed to use auto attack. So it doesn't matter how much more damage you can do with your auto attack, it just simply won't work. Right after stun, we have a knockback crowd control. Even though knockback is considered more effective than a stun, but it's actually lower order than knock up. While being knocked back, you are also silenced and disarmed, where you cannot use skills or auto attack, but knockback doesn't cancel some ongoing skill casts. For example, Claude's ultimate, for example, Akai's ultimate. If you're dancing with Claude's ultimate, if you're spinning around with Akai's ultimate, and there is a Jawhead who happen to push you back, it doesn't really matter because your skill won't be cancelled. In comparison to any knock-up skills, include Saber's ultimate, includes Khufra's knock-up. You can also use Jawhead's skill 2 to knock people up, actually throw people up. You can cancel any of ongoing state they're in, right? Like Khufra's skill 2, you can cancel Akai spinning, anything like that will be canceled immediately. Now, here I want to put up an interesting note. Zilong's flip is also considered a knock-up effect. So it will actually work with Gwyn's ultimate. I'm talking about they can combo, and it can cancel all ongoing state as well. So you can use Zilong to cancel Claude in a way, right? Especially after it's Zilong's rework coming up in a little bit. I look forward to try that and see how it's going to work. Last but not least, I want to talk about Morth. Morth as a crowd control is actually on the same level as knockup because it does cancel any of the ongoing state that you're in. So it can cancel Claude's ultimate, it can cancel Odad's ultimate, it can cancel anything of that matter. The most notorious Morph skill in the game is Nana's skill 2. And it is such a short cooldown. She can just throw a skill 2 in the bush, and if you walk up to it, you will get morphed, you'll get transformed into a little Molina, and you cannot move, you cannot do anything. The way to counter that is obviously by using Purify, because Purify will cancel everything up to knock up as we discussed in the previous video if it works properly. Now if it doesn't work and bug out, well, maybe too bad. But most of the time for Morth, I find Purify to work very effectively. Now, the interesting thing about Morth is it doesn't really slow you down or root you up, right? You can still move even though you got turned into a Molina. So if you're speeding up, you have Sprint active, for example, and you got accidentally transformed into Molina, don't worry about it. Keep on running because you can run really fast and there's no way Nana can chase you unless they throw some other quad control on top of you. Then you can really use Purify. But most of the time, don't panic if you got morphed. Don't use Purify right away unless it's really dangerous, unless enemy team have stuff to follow you up. If you're moving normally and you just got morphed, let it go, right? Let the quad control run its course and afterwards go back to normal, do your damage and do your team fight. Now, an interesting note I have to share with everyone is morph duration can actually be reduced, which is interesting because morph is on the same level of knockup because it cancels all your current state, but it can be reduced by tough boots. For example, if you're playing Harith, right, you have your passive where every nearby enemy reduce the quad control time that you're in, and then on top of it, you have tough boots for the argument's sake. If you get morphed, your duration effective will be reduced by a lot, by a tremendous amount, right? Because in Mobile Legends, the calculation method, the algorithm adds everything linearly. So the quad control duration reduction from the passive and the quad control duration reduction from tough boots actually add up to each other. And the amount of quad control duration that you're going to experience from Morph will be almost non-existent, right? It's almost like, psst, and then you're gone, you're free. Another interesting note that I have to share with everyone is, in the previous video, a lot of people actually brought up freeze in the comment section. I've always thought that freeze is just considered as a stun because they're exactly the same, right? Just different animations, at least in Mobile Legends. So I took it upon myself to go to the practice mode and actually test it. What I found out was freeze is actually considered the same as stun. You can actually reduce the freeze duration with tough boots and Harith passive. This is so crucial to understand. Basically, tough boots as an item is so underrated in the game. Most people just build the warrior boots for the armor. They can build CDR boots, but very few people build tough boots. Now, like I mentioned in the previous video, if enemy team have a lot of quad control, including silence, including disarm, you can build tough boots because it works on all of them. It will reduce the quad control duration by 30%, and that is a lot. Considering it will reduce the quad control duration for slow, for stun, for silence, for disarm, right, for morph. This is crazy, dude. To sum it up, including all the quad control orders we talked about from last video, the complete orders of quad control in Mobile Legends includes the following 6 orders. Number 1 is slow, which can be cancelled by sprint. Number 2 is root and a movement restraint, which can be cancelled by purify. Number 3 is stun and taunt, which can be cancelled by purify as well. Number 4 is knockback, which can be cancelled by purify. Number 5 is morph and knockup, which still can be cancelled by purify. And everything that we just mentioned can be diminished by tough boots, this item itself. Last but not the least, the highest order of quad control is still suppression. On top of it, we'll also have some unique quad control skills, which if used properly can be very, very effective and counter enemy hyper carries, including anti-blink that kind of falls between slow and root. You can use it to counter heroes like Lancelot, heroes like Harith, but it doesn't really affect most of the heroes in the game. And then you have silence and disarm, which is really effective against people who use auto attacks or people who use a lot of skills. This is also why heroes like Natalia straight up counters heroes like Ling. And a hero like Masha straight up counters a lot of marksman heroes and a lot of fighter heroes who requires auto attack. So with that, guys, hope you guys enjoyed this episode of All Quad Control List. If you do enjoy, like, subscribe, and turn that bell on to all notification bells so you do not miss our giveaway and you do not miss our live stream. With that, it's Dave signing off. I'll see you guys next time. Bye now.
Just for the thrill of it, nothing counterfeit with you, just the thrill of it.